This is the ninth Sherlock Holmes short story. Watson says it's one of two mysteries that he introduced to Holmes through his medical practice. Watson does medical work so infrequently in these stories, it's a wonder the author bothered to make him a doctor in the first place.
Argofont Book Review, Argofont Book Review.
Watson gets an emergency patient named Victor Heatherly. Heatherly is a hydraulic engineer. His thumb has just been cut off. He claims he was attacked. Watson takes Heatherly to see Holmes before the story continues. Heatherly's engineering business is pretty unsuccessful. He spends every day sitting in an office hoping a client will appear. Over the course of 2 years, he's only gotten 4 jobs for a grand total of £27. I'm amazed he has not gone out of business by now. I'm also amazed he has a clerk. You don't need to pay a full-time clerk if you only get 2 jobs a year. Recently, a man named Colonel Lysander Stark came to Heatherly. He promised to pay a large amount of money for a job which demands absolute secrecy. Stark goes out of his way to avoid being seen. He picks up Heatherly at the train station in the middle of the night. They get in a carriage with a fresh-looking horse, and they travel over 10 miles before they get out. Stark rushes Heatherly into a house, where he is momentarily interrupted. This is a minor flaw in the story. Stark is so secretive and well-prepared, it's hard to believe he gets distracted by something unimportant, and he leaves the room for a few minutes. While Stark is gone, a worried woman appears. She warns Heatherly to run away immediately, because it's dangerous. He's gonna die if he does something wrong. She hides before Stark comes back. Stark returns and takes Heatherly to a room with a giant compacting machine. Heatherly easily fixes the machine, and then makes a stupid mistake. He accuses Stark of lying and demands to know what the machine is really designed for. Why did Heatherly do this? He was warned he'd be murdered if he did the wrong thing, and so he starts accusing the guy. Is he trying to get killed? He knows Stark wants to keep the machine a secret. Stark turns on the machine. Heatherly's almost crushed to death, but he is saved at the last minute by the unknown woman. She leads him through a secret tunnel to a second-story balcony. She tells him to jump and escape, but he doesn't. He hangs around for a while because he wants to see what Stark's gonna do next. That's another dumb move, because Stark attacks him with a cleaver. Heatherly's thumb is cut off. He falls to the ground and immediately becomes unconscious. He wakes up to find the mystery woman and an unknown helper have taken him back to the train station, at which point he went back into town and found Dr. Watson. Holmes gets some police officers, including Inspector Bradstreet. This is the 3rd story in a row where Bradstreet is mentioned. He doesn't get mentioned again for the rest of the Sherlock Holmes series. Farewell, Inspector! Bradstreet and Holmes agree the culprits are probably using the hydraulic machine to make fake silver, which is turned into counterfeit coins. The police wonder where to search, since the culprits are far away from the train station. Holmes reveals that was a trick. They didn't really take Heatherly to a house 12 miles away. They took him 6 miles into the country and 6 miles back to trick him. Holmes knows this because Heatherly confirmed the horse was fresh. The horse wouldn't have been fresh if it had really just traveled 12 miles. The culprit's house is quite close to the train station, only it's not there anymore. The house caught on fire and burned down last night. Holmes guesses that Heatherly accidentally caused the fire by dropping the lamp while he was escaping. None of the culprits are caught or heard from again. That's kind of a bummer. The end! Post-story follow-up. Like the 5 orange pips, this mystery is mostly somebody telling a strange story to Holmes. He does a little bit of investigation, but not much. I like this better than the 5 orange pips, because Holmes figures out the clever trick with the horse, and he figures out the culprits are counterfeiters. He makes more deductions in this one. I can't help but feel the ending would have been better if the culprits were all at the house, and there was a big action scene where our heroes stormed the house. The mystery woman and her helper, presumably the Englishman who's renting out the house, probably would have appeared, and there probably would have been some smaller points in the scheme for Holmes to clear up, such as what do they do with the coins they make? Do they have a printing plate somewhere? The story is a suspenseful one, and it's scary. It's surprisingly violent for this series. I think it's the first time somebody's been seriously injured. It would be an interesting story, even if Holmes hadn't appeared. Come to think of it, it wouldn't take much to write Holmes out of the story completely. Even though I am satisfied with the story, I would say it definitely needs more of Holmes. More of Holmes in the Sherlock Holmes story would be a good idea. But I still give Sherlock Holmes, The Adventure of the Engineer's Thumb, a thumbs up.